You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering a player experience news.
Let's go! What is up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 297. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on, yes, still Twitter. And I'm joined over Discord by not the Nintendo aficionado and hardcore casual. Not yet, anyways. He may join us later, Roshan Warner. But until then, I'm joined by the host of Large Popcorn and video producer at The Gamer, Christian Macias at ISO Christian.
They shop.
They shop? I'll
We
say
got this.
Char. Oh, I gotcha.
Oh, okay.
I gotcha.
Nice.
We got this.
And
Me.
resident Embark Glazer and my fellow Spartan, Gage Dempster at Gilbo Biggins.
Reporting for duty, Daniel.
Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is the best games of the 21st century. And so let's go ahead and jump right in.
You mean the top games of the 21st century?
Best, top, fucking amazing.
Those aren't synonyms. Those are not synonyms.
Here we go. We're not even there yet.
We've already started. We've already started with the bullshit.
Those are not synonyms at all.
We have
And we'll
already
get into that.
started with the bullshit. Anyways, Christian will be hosting the topic of the show segment. Here we go. Christian, tell us what the fuck we're doing, because apparently Dan doesn't know what we're doing.
Yeah. I got to talk about movies first.
Oh, here we go.
So bear with me. Bear with me. I was talking to my buddy about like film criticism and how like even though movies are still kind of a nascent medium compared to like, books or like paintings, there's still like, a lot of great film criticism going around. There's a lot of archival stuff around movies. And there's lots of like excitement around like creating movie lists, specifically I think with like film critics and then like other people like Hollywood industry people. There's a lot of like fanfare around movie lists. So I cited a couple. They Shoot Pictures, Don't They? Is a website that is like one of the biggest websites when it comes to movie lists. They do one every 10 years called the Top 1,000 Films You Have to See Before You Die. And like, there's always discourse around those movies. It's pretty fun, especially like if you're like a Letterboxd person on that app. It's always fun to see like what's changed, what's new, what's like shifted out of it, whatever. There's the American Film Institute and the British Film Institute. They put out their perennial lists as well. That's always pretty exciting. But then in the last 2 weeks, there are two really big lists that kind of shifted movie discourse. One is IndieWire's Top 100 of the 2020s. IndieWire, let's see Dan's attachment in the Discord. You're looking at the thesaurus, the semantics. Would have been funny 5 minutes ago. Wow, I lost my train of thought. IndieWire reached out to several critics across several outlets, and they all voted on the top 100 of the 2020s. And then the same thing happened this week with the New York Times. They put out a list that they polled the film critics and then Hollywood industry like directors and producers as well. The top 100 of the 21st century. They then put out a separate article where New York Times readers could put out their own poll. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just responding to something.
Garrett, is it raise your hand if you're... That's funny. They put out their own poll. You could like go and cast your own ballot. So people have been sharing their ballots for the top 100 of the 21st century. And it got me thinking, we don't do this in games pretty like at all. The only sort of lists that happen in video games really are end of year game of the year lists, which are exciting in their own right. But in terms of like what are the most important games or most exciting games or even like archival stuff, it's not really happening. Reddit has their own lists. Metacritic has their like aggregate list of like the top rated games.
Right.
Other than that, like some individual outlets will have their games, but there's never any like sort of like discourse in the games community as like here are the most like important games like that we consider like the past 10 years or the 21st century, et cetera, et cetera. Those things aren't really happening. So I have been craving something like that in the game space. I want more things like this. So I figured, why don't we just do this ourselves on a way smaller scale? Why don't we start talking about what we think are the most important games of the 21st century? We boiled it down to 5 because we're just like a small podcast. I think 5 seems like a good amount. And then I left it vague. So top 5 could mean, either your favorite games of the past, 25 years, or what you consider to be like the most important or like culturally relevant games. It really is up to you. So I want to ask you guys how you guys approached your list.
At first, my first draft, if we'll say, was more my favorite, and then for me personally, I was like, I've talked about these games a lot already. That's less interesting for me to talk about them again. So I will try and pick.
Fun.
I'll try and pick something. I don't. Without going against best, like I think there's an argument to make that these are some of the best, as in highest rated, games in terms of how players feel about them, but also importance in terms of what they do for their respective genres and pushing the industry forward. So I kind of am in the nebulous of all of those things. And for me personally, if I was stranded on a desert island and I only had these 5 games, I definitely would not be upset at them. There are games that I love and have emotional connections to more than these, but I think I kind of landed in the Venn diagram of everything you just said, where I think you can kind of make a case for the games that I picked for any of those.
Right.
And
Dan?
I did. Interesting. I did my list where I was originally doing like a mix between my favorite and what I felt was like culturally relevant / important to games. But now I'm like looking at my list and I'm like, should I change that? Should I change anything? No, I'll just leave it.
Yeah, be authentic. Yeah, leave it.
Okay.
Just leave it. Yeah.
I did. The only thing that I was thinking in my head besides that is I basically didn't even think about anything that came out recently. So right or wrong, I just don't know. It'd be harder for me to separate my bias for a game releasing 2 years ago than a game that released 15 years ago. So my list is largely games that are older, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I'm excited to get into this list, man. I'm excited.
I'm lucky that I have lists on my backlog that are like just personal private lists, just so I can kind of keep track of things for like various things that I'll need to cite. So I went with something that's like that I think is like culturally important in games, but also I just so happen to think they're also like some of my favorite or some of what I consider like the best games. What I did interesting though is games that I normally talk about, I consider in a different fashion. So I have both. I have an honorable mention list, just to say, and then I have an evil list. Games that I think are important. It might make the list, and maybe you could argue that should make the list, but I think are actually a net negative for video games in the long run, which I think is kind of fun just to throw out there.
Interesting.
I could think of one already for that list.
Well, I mean, I'll say it in a minute if you want to keep it in mind, and you can tell me what it was after.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say it. As soon as you said that.
Before we even get into our list, does anyone have any honorable mentions they wanna that didn't make the cut?
Ooh. I would love to throw out some honorable mentions.
Hey, please.
How many do you have, Dan? How many do you have?
Dude, I was telling Gage before when we were in the pre-show, I have like fucking 30 games that I DM'd myself, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to choose between all of these. So I may just throw out a few after.
I was gonna
Gage
say
goes.
I'm only gonna give out 4 or 5 honorable mentions.
That's fair.
I didn't know if you wanted to volley back and forth, do a little rally here. I'll throw out.
I have 4.
Okay, so that's roughly, yeah. If we all do 4, then roughly it'll be the same. Okay, so I'll start off. Honorable mention: Red Dead Redemption 2. Just in terms, that's an honorable mention. Yeah, I know.
That's on my evil list.
That's on your evil list.
What?
That's on my evil list. Yeah.
What?
Tell me your pro first, and I'll tell you why it's on my evil list.
In terms, it is a monumental achievement in terms of video game writing, video game voice acting. The sheer, I think it was something about 500,000 lines of dialogue. I think 1,200 voice actors in that game. And then the sheer scale of the technology that is in that game in terms of your environmental, your weather effects, the different. I think there's. I'm just rallying off these numbers because I think I saw an article, read an article recently, where it's like there's over 250 animals in the game that have like this simulated ecosystem, and the game came out on the PS4 and Xbox One generation. It's a huge technological achievement, both in terms of the art and the technology side of video games. It's both of those things coming together to make this game that I think is incredible.
Well, I put this next to The Last of Us as like the first entries in my evil list, and you may think, why?
What?
I think both of those games are some of the best games ever made. They're both of them are some of my favorite games ever made. I think,
Save The Last of Us talk for later. No spoilers, but save The Last of Us talk for later.
Okay, then I'll just talk Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
then
right.
That's good. I think the way gamers have started to think about what a AAA game means have been heavily skewed by games like The Last of Us and Red Dead Redemption 2. That if they don't have a big budget behind them, they are of less quality. And I think people are giving games less chance because of that, or they're not like as widely accepted because of that. Case in point, I think, is like God of War Ragnarok, when you saw the very small asset flip of Kratos getting into the boat, or even Spider-Man with the puddle gate and the environment looking different in full release. There's a lot of discourse around like what a AAA game means. And if you don't have a high budget and you aren't like extremely high fidelity, encroaching this like quadruple A sort of mentality, that you are an inferior product in a first party sense. And I think that is like has been largely kind of bad and leading to a lot of problems with like the games industry and all these ballooning budgets and you know all these layoffs. I think you can mark the shift in AAA gaming with these two games as partial reasons why it's trending that way, despite their quality.
I don't disagree that certain gamers or people in the industry, or even if you think it's the majority industry, take that from these games, that people have that reaction to that. But I don't think you can blame art for the reaction that people have to art, even if it's the incorrect reaction. So I fundamentally disagree with you, but I see what you're saying. I do see the dots that you're connecting.
You can't blame art, but you can blame the publishers who like seek that level of like for their subsequent like first party releases.
Sure, but then that becomes a criticism of the business and the way that decisions are made, and it's less about this game as a net negative as a product, as the
These things are interlinked.
Of the art. Yeah, I don't know.
My problem is like, to me, and this may not apply to every example, and I think that what you're saying holds some weight to it, Christian, but for those two specific examples, I feel like that was a lot of fanboys that were saying, "Oh, look at the puddles; they're terrible." Like Xbox fanboys pointing that out, saying that to try to diminish the returns for God of War Ragnarok, or saying, for Spider-Man, and then for God of War Ragnarok with the reused animations, people were, again, console fanboys saying, "Oh, look at that! They're using the same animations from 2018." Personally, I don't think that from what I remember, I don't remember reviewers like calling that out and saying like,
Right.
man, this is shit. Like, I can't believe they did this. Like, personally, I feel like that is a lot of like fanboyism coming out from people that are just dumb, very dumb, have no
Yeah,
argument.
Yes, and my thing is yes, and though, like I think it's easy to write off if these are like vocal minorities or fanboys, or you can extend that into grifters. But I think, personally, I think this is indicative of some larger societal problems that we got going on. Where like it was easy to write them off, but like in actuality, it is kind of a growing trend with a lot of people like in the larger like gaming space or even any kind of space where people are thinking in this way. And I don't think we should.
I agree with you. I also think that it's a tough thing though, because it's like the more weight you put into those criticisms that people have that are not valid, the more life you breathe into them. And so there's also kind of a tricky balance there where it's like people saying that God of War, oh, I'm mad that these new games are reusing assets because I played The Last of Us and I expect these big things from them. It's like, sure, but the more you give credence to that incorrect line of thought, the more prevalent it becomes, I think. So I don't know. I struggle to blame Red Dead Redemption 2 for that, but I can kind of see what you're getting at. Dan, what's your first honorable mention?
Oh, I forgot. I forgot that's what we were doing. We were only on honorable mentions. Fuck.
There's no time limit tonight, too, by the way. Just reminding everybody.
Oh, okay. 7-hour podcast.
Hell yeah.
My first honorable mention, I'm prepared for both of you to fuck me up for this, and I don't care. Resident Evil 4 / Resident Evil 4 Remake. I'm putting it on one line. Fuck me up.
That's fine.
Oh!
It's not a mention. That's fine.
Christian says that's fine, Gage. Eat shit.
Not fine. They're two different games, but
They are two different games, but like it's just an honorable mention, so I'm not like that's fine.
No, those games are fantastic, and yeah,
I do agree with that.
love those games.
I put Mario Odyssey on my honorable mention as my first honorable mention.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mario Galaxy. Put the wrong
Mario
game on there.
Galaxy. Okay.
Yeah, Mario Galaxy.
I'll go with my next one, the OG. Now I have to clarify nowadays. The OG Modern Warfare 2.
And what's
Oh,
okay. What's the name of that game? Modern Warfare 2. Interesting.
Call of Duty.
Take note, everyone. No.
Take
Take note, everyone at home. He said the game is called Modern Warfare 2. Wow. Incredible.
Take note, audience, that I did not say that my honorable mention is Modern Warfare 2.
There you go. That's how he said it on that episode.
That's true, but you can't mistake that for the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare because it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
I put COD 4 on my evil list and Fortnite.
On your evil list?
Fortnite is the only is the one that I thought of when you mentioned this evil list.
Yes.
That is the only one that
Fortnite,
yes, Dan, you and I are thinking the same. Exactly.
I almost put Overwatch on my evil list as well.
Why is COD 4 on your fucking evil list? What the hell?
The rise of the military shooter into the rest of the. Hold on. Mono, like for a long time, for like I don't know, 5+ years, we got into like a real monoculture kind of state where like every shooter was like trying to emulate Call of Duty or like be more, except for Battlefield for a good amount of time. But now we're like still in the ramifications of like we're still trying to get back to this era of Call of Duty, and even Battlefield is still trying to bite the ankles of what like COD did all those years ago. So the state of shooters still in kind of like the puddles of that.
That's totally fair and valid, but wouldn't you argue that like earlier Call of Duties would be more evil because like you've got fucking Call of Duty, you've got Medal of Honor, you've got all these games fucking portraying World War II. Yeah.
Yeah. But also it's like low stakes. It's on my little evil list.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Your second honorable mention?
My second. I fell asleep there. My second honorable mention is going to be a game I've talked about before sparsely, but I love this game. Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2. Let's
That's the
bring
one
great
with co-op.
RTSs back. Yes.
Nope, that's not.
Yeah, it
I
has.
think it's a different.
Well,
Right?
I mean, it has co-op, but it's an RTS.
You can keep it.
Fuck you. That's one of the goats. That came out when right after the 360 launched, and I played so
What's
many
that game
hours
called?
of it.
What's the full title of that, Dan? Sorry.
Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle Earth 2. I kid you not, I was making my list of about 30 or 40 games that I DM'd myself, and I thought to myself, we should have a episode dedicated to best licensed games, because I've thought of quite a few very good licensed games.
That'd be a fun topic because there are also a lot of fucking stinkers in that category.
That's
too.
true as well, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I have Breath of the Wild on my honorable mention list.
Okay.
Wow.
Solid. I'll go into my third, which is The Witcher 3.
You're 3.
Just pretty when it comes to making an RPG, it's pretty hard to beat in terms of getting everything right.
Mine is Battlefield Bad Company 2.
What a game, huh?
What
What
a
a
game.
game. What a fucking game.
Great game.
My third is, a little controversial maybe. Grand Theft Auto. San
The
Andreas.
first, the original.
Okay.
Oh,
How's that controversial?
I don't know.
That's a good game.
that's a pretty good.
I agree.
YYXBALL down up. Spawn is Hydrojet.
Infinite ammo.
Oh, Hydrojet.
My number 4, Left 4 Dead.
Hmm.
The original.
The original. I was debating doing Left 4 Dead 2, but then in my mind, I just got into the semantics of it. I was like, there's no Left 4 Dead 2 without Left 4 Dead, and I can easily boot up Left 4 Dead right now and have fun with it. So you know what? Left 4 Dead. When it comes, what that game did for couch co-op is the reason why it's on my honorable mentions.
And smiling.
Because I'm debating saying this. It's another licensed game, but like
Jesus.
I swear, no, it's. But I'm like,
The Matrix on PS2.
No, it is actually South Park: The Stick of Truth from 2013. Obsidian Games, amazing South Park, made an amazing South Park game which had never been done before.
Hey, you know what? That's fair. When that game was announced and being talked about, I was like, this is gonna flop hard. This is gonna be an awful toilet humor, just not well made, and just getting by on the shtick that it's South Park. And lo and behold, we got a great game.
Yep.
My last game should be on the list, but there was just no room for it. In a top 10, it'll easily make the list. That's Journey. I think that's the game that you can mark as the shift in terms of how people looked at indie games.
Right. That's a great pick.
Very good pick.
All right. I'm kind of nervous now.
Can we?
We're starting our list now, right?
Can I make? Yeah, but can I make a request?
What is it?
Can we go in reverse order? Can we go?
You want to go newest game?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because reasons.
No, this will be funnier this way.
Oh, come on! It was gonna be a big reveal.
Also, Ro already put his pasted list on here, and I don't know how this works because he only put 3.
True.
I think he put them all together.
He did,
but it's hard. Yeah,
you just have to scroll.
Yeah, because this is the first one. Wait.
Yeah.
Maybe. 2015.
Oh.
No, his first game should be 2002.
I just saw the first game because of the red thing.
Oh.
I think he put it all on one line instead of
Yeah.
Oh, that's odd. What's underneath then? I'm confused.
It's just continuing, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
I could have you guys close your eyes and I'll fix it.
I don't have
Okay.
it open. Go ahead.
Oh, I can see it if I just highlight. So I'll just do that. And then there's that. Oh, wow. I think he put 6 games. He has 7 games.
Okay. Well, Rashan, we need to have a talk about following instructions.
Maybe
It's also, I
mentions.
see. Hold on.
Oh.
That's how he did that. Yeah. The bottom ones are honorable mentions.
Oh.
And then, okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
So, okay, let's give you Rose honorable mentions. You guys ready for this?
Yep.
His first honorable mention is a 2001 game, Sonic Adventure 2. Incredible. And his second is Life is Strange, the 2015 original game.
Hell yeah.
Daniel, you're up first.
I'm up first. Okay, we're going oldest first.
Yep.
All right. Well, then we'll peel the Band-Aid off now because Gage, are you ready for this?
I know what it is. Go ahead.
The first game on my list. No, you don't. Fuck out.
I do know what it is.
The first game on my list is released on November 9th, 2004, and that game is Halo 2.
Wow.
I thought you knew what it was. I thought
Wow.
you knew what it was.
You came to your senses. You find after
No,
all
no,
these
no,
years,
hold on.
you've come to your senses
No,
and
hold on.
you've seen the light. I
No,
could not be
no.
more proud of you.
Hold on. Because like I said earlier, and I was trying not to get too in depth to spoil it, is I played very much with games that I love, but also games that I feel were very influential. And Halo 2 was one of the most influential games ever made, with all of the things that Bungie created for the first time, including, well, they made matchmaking great on console, which had never really been done before. They made a first-person shooter refined on controller that had been done with Halo CE, but it was a little rough, especially in modern times. Playing Halo 2, even in modern times, feels good on the sticks, which is just a testament to how good that they programmed that game. And all of the innovations that they had with the friends system and the messaging system and the clan system, and they literally worked side by side with the Xbox Live team to develop the Xbox Live functionality. Halo 2 was very monumental for all of those things. What do you?
I agree with everything you just said. Glenn has just called Lynn in a panic. We are not live. There's something going on with the YouTube live stream,
We
apparently.
are not live. Uh-oh.
According to Glenn.
What the fuck?
Says.
Oh, fuck. God. I hit it. We were live. Why did it fucking stop, bro? I was wondering why we weren't getting any messages. Fuck. Oh.
Damn, that's 30 minutes of podcasting.
Dude, I thought when Garrett said earlier, give a wave, I thought we were live then even.
Yep.
Me too.
But you know what? The fact that he didn't do any follow-up giggles in the group chat should have been our first warning.
Hello there. This is Dan from the future. I am interjecting here in the middle of the podcast to let you know that, yes, we did have an issue where we realized we were not live on YouTube. We were not live streaming like I thought we were. The good news is that I actually hit the start recording button instead of the go live button. So I did have the entire recording of our entire conversation, which is what you've already listened to. So now, without further ado, I'm going to fast forward to past the part to where it kind of lines up with where we were at. So enjoy.
Again, we're going to go down our list. Dan first, then Gage, myself, then Ro, each giving one entry. And then Dan just started, so we're automatically we're just right back on track. Dan, what was your first game?
Yeah, you guys are gonna be surprised at this one. Really released November 9th of 2004. Can either of you guess what this game is? It's Halo 2. Yeah, Gage, are you shocked by that?
No, you finally came around to which is the best Halo game.
That's stupid.
You finally seen the light.
No.
Wait.
What?
Oh, I don't have Discord Prime or whatever it's called. Nitro.
Oh.
I was gonna play a sound effect. Why Halo 2?
Halo 2, yes, was one of the most influential games of all time and one of my favorite. It kind of marries both very nicely in my list here. Halo 2 was just monumental for FPSs and online functionality in general, as Bungie themselves actually worked hand in hand to help the Xbox team actually build their friends list and platform features like messaging and stuff like that, which wasn't existing before Halo 2. So all of that was happening for the first time. Proximity voice chat, matchmaking that revolutionized matchmaking with OptiMatch and such, and clan systems. All these things just came together in just such a perfect package, and Halo 2 is monumental for, I think, FPS online gaming for sure.
You don't get the core memories of like Call of Duty 4 lobbies without the influence of Halo 2. And in some ways, like modern like multiplayer lobbies have like regressed. They've been worse.
Yes.
And I'd argue like Halo 2 and Halo 3 and obviously like Halo Reach lobbies are not even arguably, like subjectively they're just or objectively, excuse me, probably just better than a lot of like modern game lobbies. So
yes,
we got to go back. We got to go back,
including modern Halo games.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Solid pick, man.
I'm upset. I'm almost upset that I didn't put it on my list, but you did, so I'm glad. I'm glad it ended up there. I agree with everything you said. My first one. Okay, we're going oldest first.
Correct.
So my first pick is a little game from 2008. Do we want to guess what it is?
Little Big Planet?
No. It is Grand Theft Auto 4.
Oh yeah.
I think for me, this is probably one of the first games I played that I was starting to realize that like there's skill and depth behind all these ones and zeros. And you look back to some of the physics and some of the systems in that game that like are still being replicated today, and nowadays we make toasters that have more processing power than the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and the soft body physics on vehicles and the way that NPCs reacted, the euphoria physics system is insane. You can see, depending on how corroded and or decroded your algorithm is on certain like TikTok and YouTube, you can see videos of people comparing physics in modern Rockstar games, and the comparison is always GTA 4. What that game did for video games and for technology, I think, was a huge step forward. And I don't know, I loved every minute I spent with that game, and I spent many an hours in that world. So, and then that's not even to get to Nico Bellic and the story and the writing in that game, which I think for Rockstar was also a huge push forward. San Andreas obviously is another game that people really love, and I don't personally have enough have the connection with that game, but for me, the story, the gameplay, the physics, the systems, everything came together in Grand Theft Auto 4, and I just think it's an all-timer.
For me, that's also like one of the core pillar games you can point to as like this is one of the games of that marked the turn of the like HD revolution. Like seeing that game running in HD for the first time is like, holy shit, this is what games can be. And like obviously they've only gotten like prettier to look at, but back then, 2008. Like it holds up in my mind as like a beautiful, beautiful game. I forgot to ask you guys because we got so busy trying to come up with, get back on track. How did you guys each approach your list? We can circle back to that when it's back to your turn. So I can start. I did a mix of what games that I consider to be culturally relevant in the video game space. I want there to be a criterion closet for video games, basically. But it just so happens that I think some of my favorite games are games that I would include on this list anyway. So my first game is a game from September 24th, 2001, and that's Silent Hill 2. Apart from the combat, which I could totally understand that if you want to argue that the combat of this game does not hold up well, I might even obviously argue with you. And if you're trying to compare it to like modern day combat, I think this game as like a capital T text is unbeatable. I don't think many games have come close to what this game is trying to do in terms of like psychological horror storytelling. That is like the marker and the major influence for like any horror game that comes after it. I think it's all well and good that there's a Silent Hill 2 remake, but I don't think we should totally replace the original. I think everyone should, in some capacity, play a good chunk of the original to see what this game is doing and how important it is for the horror scene and psychological horror storytelling in games.
Oh yeah.
I have not played Silent Hill 2. It's on my list, so I cannot comment at all, but I'm excited to get into it.
Row, swagger of a choice, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, 2002. Solid pick. I love Wind Waker.
Oh yeah. Give some love to the GameCube.
Nintendo aficionado.
Yeah, so my next one, or I guess before I say my next one, to go off what you said, I tried to pick ones that were kind of in my mind as favorites of mine, but also had impact on the industry as well as a whole, which I kind of did with Halo 2, marrying those. And I feel like I did that for the rest of this list, although some of these could be, more just my favorites, but
it's okay if the line's a little
teeters.
blurred.
Yeah.
These are our own lists. Right. our own votes
for sure. So my next one is a game that came out August 21st, 2007, and arguably the golden age of video games, in my opinion, and that is BioShock. What that game did for narratives in video games, I think it took us to another level, and like was one of the first times that I played a video game and completed it, and I was like, holy shit, that was awesome. Like this narrative experience all the way through, and it had the big twist, which I didn't see coming at all, and I loved the storytelling in the environments and what you can actually see, like blood splatter on the walls, and then you see this note and you read the note, and it all connects together very nicely. And I just love the storytelling that BioShock took us down.
Weirdly enough, I often think about Greg Miller's comment on Metal Gear Solid when he first played it. For those that don't know, I don't know why I know, and I'm telling it like it's my own story. Anyway, he has said on podcasts that what he talks about MGS is when he played it with his friend, he's like, holy shit, this is what video games can be. And I think for a lot of people, like in 2008, playing a game like BioShock could be a pivotal moment for them. Like, oh my God, video game stories can be something else. I don't know about you guys. Like in 2008, I was playing a lot of like either platformers or shooters. And yeah, I remember playing the demo of BioShock and being like enthralled by even just like the opening and the art direction of going into Rapture, being enraptured by the presentation of that game. So I can see why it makes your list.
Moving over to me. I approached my list very similar to what you said, Christian. I tried to pick games that not only are culturally relevant, but in my mind pushed, if not the entire industry forward, at least its respective genre forward, and contributed to the industry in a way that will live on and will be talked about forever. So I've kind of picked those games, and then I also do enjoy all these games. Like I said in our Lost segment, if I was on a desert island and I only had these 5 games, I would not be complaining at all either. Even though I have some games that I would pick above these in terms of if you were just doing straight favorites. So I did try to have a bit of objectivity to balance out my list, which is the perfect segue to my second pick, and you'll understand immediately why. Which is that my second pick from 2009 is a little game called Minecraft, which
Wow. Wait, hold on. Inspired choice.
How do you not pick it, right? We've all grown out of it. I haven't touched Minecraft in years, but it was a force of destructive nature when it comes to this industry. And I think it represents the best of video games in terms of like, here you go, do whatever you want. Here, like the entire world is your oyster, and it also uniquely to video games, unlike movies, is a game that grew over time. Very much at first, it was very much a sandbox game. Here you go, build, explore with your friends, do all this stuff, and then slowly but surely, there's quests now, and there's an objective, and there's build the Nether portal and fight the dragon and do all this stuff, and it became more of a game as time went on. And when it launched, it was in my opinion, one of the greatest games ever made. So the fact that it just got more so over the years is kind of like really, it's emblematic of what games are, in my opinion. So
Can I be real for a second?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're a little bit underselling the importance of this game.
I am too.
People use this game as teaching tools, like in schools. Like people are making like computers within Minecraft. People are learning about architecture within Minecraft. Like there's a lot of things people use Minecraft for outside of games that is kind of nuts. And I can't think of another game that is used as a tool the way this game is. It's kind of wild.
And you know what else? Chicken Jockey.
Damn it.
Remember that? Well, remember what we said in the pre-show about Dan with the Joker and the Notebook?
I thought my jokes were bad.
Good at something, never do it for free.
Dude, when you sent that GIF, Dan, in the text.
That hit. That was a good one.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Oh, it's me. I'm sorry. My fault. My next game came out less than 2 months later. I'm talking a month and a week later on November 4th, 2002. Another sequel and kind of similar to Dan's choice with Halo 2. Metal Gear Solid 2, I think, is the most important game of Kojima's discography is not the right word. I guess video gameography. Right. And for a lot of reasons, but I think the one thing I want to talk about today is like the game's central theme is about social media and the internet, and more importantly, information control. Like that game's like villain is like these group of people who want to like take over the network, right? The space online, to use that to control information for the wide public and create, chaos that way, or, just like use that to incite war. And like, lo and behold, like that is how a lot of, unfortunately, real world operates on misinformation, and increasingly with like AI, which is also another thing that this game touches on. Things have gotten worse and worse, and can be a little bit scary out there. And like in 2001, Kojima is talking about things that are like insanely relative to today. It's really good stuff. It's kind of mind-boggling too, how on the nose he is with that. Also, fun game.
I feel like I've played this game through osmosis. That's how much like it stayed in the conversation and the zeitgeist. Even though I've never actually, I don't think I've ever touched Nix on it.
Like Halo 2, I mean, it's also a game that has dual protagonists that people didn't like on release because it wasn't the original protagonist.
And people have come around to it since, I'm guessing, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
It is crazy that they're and 2002 and 2004 are not that far apart, but there was definitely some studios that were like pushing the industry in ways where it's like gamers weren't ready for, but like this is like really thematically important stuff that like people were, I just want to shoot stuff. Why am I playing as an alien? This is stupid. But like it's awesome. You love to see that. You love to see writers and games pushing the industry forward.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, we were talking together about how much the Arbiter rocks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wait a minute. I also love the Arbiter.
Like, no, I know. I mean, like when you guys, like when I first played it for the first time.
I know.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Gage likes to act like I hate the Arbiter, though.
I don't know. You say that the best game of the franchise is the one that only has 3 lines dialogue in, so I take that as a personal
more
attack.
than 3 lines.
What is it? More brutes?
Worse.
You guys want to hear Rose's second game?
I'd love to.
2005, Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh.
And thank God, thank God he's not here to elaborate.
Wow.
Wow.
No, I'm joking.
Wow.
I'm joking. I'm
That's
joking.
Awesome.
Kingdom Hearts is massive. There's a lot of people that are all
Hey,
over
a lot of people are wrong.
A lot of dorks.
I dare you to say that to Rose's face.
I won't.
He'd agree, dude. We all gotta love our dorky shit, though.
That's right.
Sora.
If it was a Kojima game, his name would be Dorky Man.
That's true.
Can't wait for Hot Cold Man. And DS2.
You can never tell where he's at mentally.
Oh. All right, are you ready for the third game from me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, October 28th, 2008, this game came out, and it is Fallout 3. In my opinion, one of the most influential games of open world games of all time, I should say. And basically set the standard for what an open world game should become. Yes, the game was super buggy and all of that jazz, but it wasn't buggy to the point where it was of frustration. It was always stupid bugs and just silly things happening. And like just the world building from the standpoint that you can literally decide big events. I mean, the game came out in 2008. I'm spoiling it. Fucking Megaton, you can decide the fate of that city. Oh, I forgot Christian hasn't played it. And like just the amount of decisions that you can make in that world that just have a massive impact on the game around you. It's just amazing. I love that game. Absolutely. You're good, Christian. I forgot.
And I heard you anyway.
It's and I'll say that I'm not doing spoilers. I'll say this. It's not just big set piece. Like, oh, make a few decisions and get rewarded with some dopamine by having a big set piece.
Right.
Like things that change the structure of the game.
Right.
That matter. Yes. I would be right there with you if it wasn't totally outdone by Obsidian the next year, but
well, yes, I don't disagree with you. However, you could argue that Obsidian already had the foundation there and they built upon it. So
I got you. I got what you're putting down.
Yeah. But
you know what? Something that I think that maybe I think you could argue Fallout 3 does better than Fallout New Vegas, which is that Fallout 3 also is a huge step forward in video games for immersion and for atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like going through the subway systems and all that stuff. Like it you feel like you're in it, especially when the game came out and I hadn't played anything like it. I was like, holy, like I'm here. I'm in this world.
And the character development, like there wasn't a single character I met in Fallout 3 that I wasn't intrigued about or interested about. Like there's tons of characters in Fallout 4, for instance, that I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about this person. So yeah, that.
Oh my God.
Breaking news?
No, I don't want to say this now.
Okay.
Harley called me earlier and he wanted me to tell you something, Dan. But
Uh-oh.
you're not gonna like it.
Oh my
He
god.
goes, I'm gonna tell you. He goes, I was listening to your guys' podcast. I was like, cool. He goes, how come Dan doesn't finish any fucking games?
Fuck off, Harley.
You tell him I said that.
Fucking bitch.
Oh my
First of
god.
all,
First of all, bitch, well, we'll find out later.
okay, back to me.
Oh, sorry. Can I explain? Can I explain my train of thought how I got there?
Sure.
Dan was talking about it being, or you guys were talking about being immersed in the world of Fallout 3, and it got me thinking, like, man, I remember like having much more free time when I was like in high school or like of school age and being able to
Right.
like have more time to play more games. I wish I had more time now, and then it got me thinking about Dan not having time to finish his games.
That's true. I mean, that's true though. Spent fucking 150 hours in Fallout 3. There's no way I'd be able to do that now.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, unless I stop
I'm
playing
gonna-
Halo Infinite.
Yeah, you could. That's the problem, is that you could. You just have to make some lifestyle changes. I'm gonna give you guys a warning. My list definitely peaked early, so don't get too excited now going forward. The next one is The Last of Us. Just The Last of Us.
That's a great choice.
Why did you pause like that?
Because I wanted to get Dan riled up again.
Fuck you.
The Last of Us from Naughty Dog. In terms
2013.
2013, summer of 2013. This is a game that it's so funny that my first experience with it, I was a Xbox kid living with my single mom, not a lot of money in the household. So my first experience with The Last of Us was sitting down on the couch with my friend watching all the cutscenes tied together. And I remember sitting there. I remember sitting there crying, and I look over with a tear coming down my face. I look over at my friend, and he also has a tear coming down his face, and we're like, wow, PlayStation's kind of cool, huh? We don't have anything like that here.
Wait, hold on. Were you guys watching this on YouTube or something?
I think we watched like an 8-hour cut. It was not just cutscenes. It was cutscenes and any important. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I think we might have done it in one sitting on like a Saturday.
Oh my
we were just like, let's throw this on. I hear everybody talking about this at school. I don't have a PlayStation. Let's just throw this on. And just totally mesmerized. And obviously since then I've played the game countless times. I've bought it like 6 times on every different platform, every different edition available. And I think, like I said earlier when I was thinking over my list, it's not just what it does for the industry, it's what it does for its genre. When it comes to a story-driven linear game, the acting and performances in that game, like we've talked about on the show, we think there's better line deliveries, better line reads than in the HBO production of this TV show of this game. And this game is from 2013, right? If you look at a lot of the contemporary games that were competing in that space, it's miles ahead. I think that I can still empathize with the original launch, version of this game. If I watch those cutscenes and how those character models emote, it's Naughty Dog did something incredible, and they were light years ahead. God damn it! And this game, the story, these characters, it's something that I will definitely not forget. And the fact that it was able to have that much of an impact on me as a passive viewer the first time I experienced the story, I think is kind of why it stands out in my head as an all-time game for me.
Naughty Dog is really interesting at making games that almost feel a little bit movie-like, or feel a little bit elevated. Then, because I remember playing games like Uncharted and having cutscenes, and my mom like watching some of them as if it were a movie. You know what I mean? Just like standing and watching. That's I've never heard that story from you. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Oh, I thought Dan had something to add. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say more on that later.
Oh, cool. I'm assuming it's gonna be your next one. So, okay, I'll make mine quick then. I won't go long on this. I've already talked about this before. Also, hard to top such a sweet story. My next game jumps the decade. Released on September 22nd, 2011. That's the original Dark Souls. Can't beat it. This almost makes the evil list as well because of like the influence of like, god damn, we do get a lot of Souls-like games nowadays, and everything has to be a Souls-like, and that can be a bit tiresome. I'm not gonna lie. But this one's unbeatable. Particularly the world design of this game. I think if someone's going to jump into their first From Software game, if it's not Elden Ring, I think it should be this. I don't think they've created a better Souls game than this one. Just like Silent Hill 2, though, I'm not going to say it isn't without its own kind of archaic systems. You know, the runbacks can kind of suck. There's a lot of jank, but it's also, weirdly enough, and this sounds like an excuse, but I swear it's not, part of the charm of From Software games sometimes is the jank. You kind of just have to laugh it off. But I think the most interesting thing is like how this game obscures information to you. Like it is a game that's about trial and error and community and learning what things does by either doing the right thing by accident or sometimes doing the wrong thing by accident. And that, I think, for me is its own kind of reward if you're into that kind of thing. Again, the way this world connects in on itself is unmatched. I don't think I've ever played a game that is designed in this way, and I think about it all the time. Also, the music at the beginning of the game, maybe a top OST of all time. Cool game.
Nice.
God damn it. I was listening to everything you just said, but I just looked at my fucking control panel, and when we were talking about how I thought I was streaming earlier, I hit this start recording button the first time.
Oh, so start streaming?
Instead of start streaming. I just realized, I'm like, why is the red light on? And it says an hour and 15 minutes. So I was actually recording us that whole time, but we weren't streaming. Like originally. Sorry.
How is that? Is that like an OBS recording or what?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
It stores a file on my computer. So technically, I still have that.
You could stitch.
I could
stitch.
Yes, you're right. Yep.
Interesting.
I'm gonna stop the recording right now, so it doesn't get to be massive. But anyways,
I'm gonna jump in here and read some of the YouTube comments. We got Glenn in the YouTube chat. His first comment, this motherfucker says, 16 minutes late and counting, ... Busy playing rematch, I'm sure. Didn't even invite me. I'm guessing this is when the show, when we thought we were recording, but we weren't.
Correct. Yeah.
Don't worry, Glenn. I know what it's like to not be invited to your friends' gamelay sessions. It feels
you know
fantastic,
what it's like. You know what it's like. You know what it's like to refuse to join.
You know what it's like.
Session.
You know what it's like. You know what it's like.
All right.
Jesus.
Yeah, no worry. I'm glad I was able to save the day again. Glenn did save the day today. I think he needs to get his flowers.
Absolutely.
I saw you call me. I saw my watch go off, and I saw you were calling me, Glenn. And I thought in my head, this motherfucker knows I'm doing the podcast. I'm not answering, and I just flicked it away. And then I see Lynn get a phone call, and she gets up and walks out of the room like there's something going on. So Glenn, yeah, you did save the day. You went down the chain of command, which is awesome.
You know what that deserves? Nice.
Tekkas.
Good job.
Good job.
We got this.
Stay sharp. Dan.
Oh, it's my next one? Oh.
No, Ro. Ro, what is it? My next one is Persona 4 Golden 2012. Thank you, Ro. Yeah, of course.
Oh, excellent pick, Ro. I've not played Persona, so I can't comment. I did tell Dan that was going to be on the list before we rolled.
For Rose?
I did. He's like, he said, "Oh, what's Ro got?" And I started listing off games in the same way that you were doing it just now. And Persona 4 was in there, except they called it Re Deluxe Edition.
That's awesome. It should be named that. If you like games about like immersion and gameplay systems that like reinforce that immersion, Persona's the game for you. It's crazy how immersive those games are.
Remake coming soon.
Yeah.
My next one is a game that released
Nothing. Sorry.
Cause it be.
A game that released on October 13th, 2009. Can you guys guess what it is based on what we're...
October 13th, 2009. Okay, that's either Battlefield 3. Nope. It might be Battlefield 3. Modern Warfare 3 released at... No, that's Modern Warfare 2.
No, it is not it is not
It's
a shooter.
Black Ops.
It is Uncharted 2.
2.
The best
Wow.
Uncharted game. And that game, the first game had me intrigued to buy a PlayStation at the time when it came out, but I was like, no, I can hold off. Nothing's like really capturing my attention, and it's like a $600 console. And then Uncharted 2 came out, and the PS4 or PS3 Slim released as well, and dropped the price to, I believe, $400 at the time, maybe $300. I can't remember exactly, but it dropped the price, and I was like, all right, I'm in. Uncharted 2 looked on another level in terms of presentation, and it felt like you were going to see a movie, is what it felt like, seeing all the cutscenes and how masterful the animations were, and the presentation and the gameplay was even additive of that, and a lot of fun. And yeah, just what they did with that story, I just absolutely loved it, and the set pieces that were just absolutely insane, hanging off the side of a cliff in the mountains and climbing your way up. That was just absolutely incredible.
Weirdly enough, the best thing they could have done is market that system at such a high number. And why is that? Because it forced their hand into like, okay, well, how do you convince someone to like buy an expensive console by turning around and making quality software? I think the PS3 library is really, really strong. Took a while to get there, if I'm being honest, but like by the end of that console lifecycle, there was a great first party lineup of games. And yeah, Uncharted 2 is one of the best ones on there for sure.
Is Uncharted 2 the one with Chloe?
The first game with Chloe, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then I agree that it's the best one.
Hell yeah.
My turn. Okay. This is maybe the most personal choice on my list, but I still think that there's a narrow path that I can thread to kind of bring it all around. This game came out in 2016. It is a tiny little game called
Rocket League.
Titanfall 2.
Oh.
Not Rocket League. Fuck Rocket League. It's a dumb game.
Titanfall 2 though. Good game.
Titanfall 2 is one of those games to me that is the absolute perfect package. It is a game that has a criminally, I don't want to say underrated because it is a very highly rated game, but I mean, the campaign of that game I think is the perfect first person shooter campaign. I think there's not a single shred of fat on it. I wouldn't cut anything. I wouldn't add anything. I think it's absolutely perfect. Not only is it action-packed, fun with good emotional beats, but it also designs its levels around the mechanics that are like important to the game. Very early on, I'll never forget this. There's a mission that takes place in this giant factory where they're constructing these like prefab firing range homes for testing the military, and you're running and you're wall running off of these buildings that are halfway upside down, and they're giant cranes moving across this platform, and it just feels amazing. And then you have that combined with the multiplayer that not only somehow did they manage to perfectly balance these giant titans that anybody can call in at any time, while also having players out of titans running around, and you never feel completely outmatched one way or the other. Progression, I think, in terms of how progression works in that game, we've gone back and we've gone super toxic since then, but you had like 8 pages, 8, 9, 10 pages of camos that you can equip to every gun, to every character, and like 8 of them you could get from playing the game, and there was like maybe a few DLC packs that were purely cosmetic. And then you also had the Horde mode, which was I spent an equal amount of time in. It was incredibly fun. Kick back with your friends and play enjoy the systems leisurely by doing this sort of PvE bot mode. Everything about that game is perfect when it comes to a multiplayer shooter, when it comes to balance, when it comes to monetization, when it comes to campaign, everything. And I think a lot of games could learn a lot from looking at the balance and the design of that game. And unfortunately, EA cannibalized that game and pretty much killed the franchise, because I think that in my mind that game is right up there with the OG Modern Warfare 2 in terms of a complete perfect first-person shooter experience.
They weren't ready for it. Marty McFly style.
Yep, exactly.
2 notes. Were you talking about the critically acclaimed level Effect and Cause?
I was not. That's later.
Or the other, that is, okay. The ones where you like, oh yeah, the part of the ground is like vertical this way, and you gotta like,
and it starts shifting and
yeah.
putting things together,
You
and
got
you
a
have to like go
platform.
from one side to the other. Now, Effect and Cause is just straight up one of the best level. I brought up that one. I brought up the level I brought up because it's about, you know, wall running and movement mechanics and all that stuff. Effect and Cause is just one of the best levels in any game ever. I think.
that was
I think
cool.
that is
Good level.
incredibly well paced, well scripted. Everything that's going on in that level is insane. Yeah, Effect and Cause is an all-time. You remember it by name. You remember a level from a 2016 shooter by name.
Protect the
Underrated.
pilot.
Yes, underrated aspect or mode of this Titanfall 2. Am I still here? Okay, sorry. I thought I saw you guys just pause for a second. I forget how it worked, but you got these like tickets as a currency, and you would use these tickets to go into the arena to 1v1 other pilots. And that 1v1 mode was intense. So much fun.
And I'm pretty sure that mode was added like after launch, so they didn't stop cooking when they launched the game. That mode I think came like a year or two after launch.
We were there.
We were there.
We were there.
My number 4 pick is a recent game. I'm now in the 2020s. My first game is... Sorry. Yeah, what's up? What?
I was just reacting to the flash forward there.
I know. I mean, we only had 5, right? So
That's true.
September 1st, 2022. I almost didn't pick this game, if I'm being completely honest. I was going to not pick it, but then I also think it's important for one specific reason. The Last of Us Part 2, for me, I think is my litmus test for how people talk about games. I think that it, like, is the like marker for the cultural divide in modern gaming for how people approach discussing games, analyzing them, how they interpret text, and how they interpret just like narrative in general. And I remember vividly being like weirded out by people who were like refusing to play the game. Or engage with the story beyond the like opening couple of minutes. I legit didn't know how someone could just decide not to like partake in a narrative. And I think that's important. I think having a provocation like that in the medium is necessary. Because a lot of games are too afraid to do things a lot of the time because they have to be marketed, they have to sell, they have to be critically acclaimed. And I think going against the grain, even just a little bit, even if you end up disagreeing with it, I think is important to expose yourself to it. So even if you're someone who thinks like that game could have been better or could have done things differently, I think if you got to the end of that game and still decide I disagree with this game because you did something the game was asking you to do, which I think is applaudable, to be honest.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people who would just refuse to even engage. And if you completed it, you engaged. And I want more of that. And I consider this like to be like one of like the pillar games that, like, again, in the modern era, that is a little bit of a divide between how people experience games. It's important.
I think at first I was shocked. I was shocked you went with the second one. But in terms of, kind of like, I don't know. I don't know why I've been bringing up this IP so much in the last few weeks. I swear to God, it's happen chance. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it reminds me of the first season of Game of Thrones, where they bucked
Oh,
the trend of having your main character. Not only is he well written, now obviously they are following source material. I understand that, but still, it is like we've talked about with some of the adaptations that we've talked about on the show. It is not uncommon for people to change source material. So the fact that you have Sean Bean, your lead guy, everyone loves him, blah blah blah, and spoilers for Game of Thrones, which aired 14 years ago, killing off your main character at the end, not even in the season finale, in the episode before the season finale, for television, for a big ensemble television show, I think was a trend that not a lot of people were happy with, and it challenged people. Like, buckle up. This is not going to be the story you want. This is the story that we want to tell. And I think The Last of Us Part 2 has a lot of that energy as well, where it's like, this is the narrative that we feel needs to happen. These are the events that the first game set in motion that we now have to show you. And whether you like it or not, this is what we believe to be important and the story that we need to tell. And I think that's a good pick, man.
I think it's another one with like the acting, the mocap,
Right.
or sorry, what am I trying to say?
I mean, both of those things, but maybe facial capture is what you're talking about, or
Facial capture for sure, but I think just straight up acting. I think
right.
is just as good and sometimes rivals the original game. And also, it's really interesting that this game has like as good as combat as it does for the theme that it's going with. Like that is so interesting to me. That game just feels good to play.
Absolutely, it's the one thing I love bringing up with Last of Us haters is people do this thing where they have this false equivalency where they're like, oh, compared to Red Dead or oh, compared to this other game. It's like, when you're playing The Last of Us Part 2, you need to realize that its competitors in the genre is games like Resident Evil, and the way that The Last of Us plays with its fluidity and combat and being a survival horror game, which is what it is incredible. Nobody stands close to it. Nobody stands close to it.
And just as a quick parallel to that, like Red Dead Redemption 2 is a great example of not following just, the standard of what everyone thinks as the standard for gameplay, because I know a lot of people did not like how slow Red Dead Redemption 2 felt. And that was purposefully done that way. Like
right.
Everything's meaningfully done that way. And I think I agree with you. It's The Last of Us Part 2 is very much like that as well.
There's a lot of people who didn't even make it past the prologue and like the mountains and stuff because of the pace of that game.
Right.
Which is a shame because like that game, like the ramp up to RDR2 is incredible.
Right.
Just to also give you a quick insight into someone who may not have played The Last of Us Part 2 originally, because I was one of those people. And the problem was, one of my friends at the time, I haven't since talked to him in a long time, but at the time...
this was the inciting incident, huh?
Well, honestly, it was fucking... Anyways.
Oh, I was making a joke, but dang, sorry.
We'll talk later about that. But anyways, shit, where was I? Oh, all the leaks came out, okay? My friend looked into all the leaks and invested himself in all the leaks. And then he came to me and he's like, because he was a huge Last of Us Part 1 fan as well. I was a huge Last of Us 1 fan. He was as well. He came to me and he's like, dude, you're not going to like it. It's terrible. Like, they've literally destroyed the game. And I'm like, well, it can't be that bad, right? Like, and he's like, no, they've literally like destroyed it. And I'm talking to him like, and he was as big of a fan as I was of the first game. I'm like, fuck. Well, if he's saying that, then I don't even know if I want to play this. And he's like, well, I'll just tell you what happens. And he told me the big spoiler, and that's what put me off originally from playing it. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to play it at this point. So I was very put off by that. So then fast forward, when I finally decide to put that aside and just say, okay, the first game was amazing. I just want to play this. And I got to that moment in the game, and I physically had to put my controller down and step away, and I was so put off by how the event unfolded that I couldn't play that game for a long time. Like it took me a long time to come back to it and say, okay, I'm ready to finish this now. And it's not to discredit like how they structured that game, because I think they structured that game beautifully. They couldn't have structured it any better for the decisions that they made for the story. It's just that I happen to not like one of the decisions of the story that is very integral to the entire story.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's just a little insight, but obviously the game itself is a masterful game, and there's no, getting around that.
Can I say something? The fact that you had such a visceral reaction of putting the controller down and leaving the game because of what you saw, it's like those are pixels on a screen,
Right.
and they were able to make you feel that way. You know what I mean? So even it's one of those things where it's like almost even the negatives against the game, still in a roundabout way, is a positive to what Naughty Dog was able to accomplish to get people attached to these characters in a way that like before. I mean, by the time 2020 rolls around, there's lots of other games with this stuff, but just what they got the ball rolling with in 2013, right? With this level of acting and writing to get people to really care about these characters is super impressive.
Part of the part of the aim, I think, of any good visual medium is to incite, I think, emotional manipulation. That's why you have things like score in movies that, like, oh, they're playing like this beautiful score and it's helping elevate this sad moment, and I'm starting to feel something. Maybe in some cases, Naughty Dog feels like having that moment at the beginning elicit such an extreme thing may not be exactly what they wanted, but still, like, you got to experience part of that emotional manipulation. Like, they were doing something. And I think a lot of people will agree, like, when you get to that exciting climactic midway point and it cuts off, that is another cathartic moment where, like, you're ripped of that catharsis and you don't get to experience that. And then it asks you a very big thing to do something else that a lot of people disagree with. But again, I think that's interesting. And not to go long on this, but Ro, your fourth pick, what is it? 2013's the original The Last of Us. So a lot of Naughty Dog on our lists.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's our first duplicate. We're doing very good.
Sure.
All right. Are you ready for my last one?
I'm
Yes.
so ready.
My last one released January 26th, 2010. I was not lying when I said I didn't choose any recent games. And that game is Mass Effect 2. That game, absolute masterclass. And here's the thing. The first game set up a beautiful world. I almost elicit the same reaction to the Mass Effect franchise that I do to Halo. Well, similar. In that Mass Effect 1 set up this beautiful world and these beautiful ideas, and Mass Effect 2 just takes all of those ideas and expounds them and knocks them out of the park. Like every single mission that I went on in Mass Effect 2 was meaningful and impactful. And when you go on your companion quests to help your companions, I don't want to spoil, I guess. I don't know. The game came out.
No, I still have Mass Effect 2 in my backlog of things to go back to. Because I have the collection?
Yes. I will not spoil anything, but like everything you do in that game is very meaningful and important to the overall story of the game. And I love that fact. And the gameplay was something that was completely like just redid for the second game, because the first game I struggled quite a bit with the gameplay of it. And yeah, the sequel just knocked all of those out of the park, and the performances were fantastic. What is it? What's his name? The Elusive Man, Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen, thank you. Martin Sheen, amazing performance as the Elusive Man.
Yep.
And that whole new team, so to speak, that they brought in for Mass Effect 2 worked perfectly, and I loved all of that.
Back in high school, I remember most of my friends had Xboxes. Myself and maybe like 2 or 3 others had PlayStations, and I remember that being one of the series that like, you know, going the other way, like wishing I had an Xbox to play a series, and that was Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
I think Mass Effect 2 was multi-platform, but I didn't end up playing it because I never played the first one, and I wanted to have like I want to create or see Shepard's story from the beginning or whatever, and then not playing it until the collection, the first Mass Effect, and being like enthralled by it. Also that map screen music, iconic. I love it.
Yes.
But I'm still waiting for the right moment to get into Mass Effect 2 because I know it's everyone's favorite of the series. And I know it's a big game. I just have to find the right time to like sit down and actually play it. So I will.
Honestly, even looking at games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and stuff like that, Mass Effect 2 might have the greatest ensemble cast of characters in a video game ever. Like when I like even just you talking about Mass Effect 2, I start thinking about Thane and Miranda and Garrus Vakarian and Joker and all these incredible characters. And I never played the first Mass Effect. I just jumped into Mass Effect 2. I think I actually, I think I got Mass Effect 2. I may have told the story way back in the podcast, but I went to the EB Games with my grandmother when I was a wee little lad, and she was looking to spoil me, and she was like, "You can get one new game." And I walked over to the value bin, and I was like, how about 3 used games?" She's like, "All right, fine." And I picked up on a whim, without ever having played any of these franchises before. I picked up Mass Effect 2. I picked up Fallout New Vegas.
Oh wow.
And I think I picked what was the third one? I think it was Blur. And so that was a pretty good haul. It was a pretty good haul that day. So I didn't play Mass Effect 1 at all. And Mass Effect 2, by the end of it, I remember crying and just being like, wow, what an insane sort of... I think I'd only played shooters up until that point. Like, this is just when I started branching out in terms of genres. I'm like, wow, what a type of experience you can have with these characters. And you're doing their loyalty missions, and you're getting to know them, and the voice acting is perfect. Oh my god. Great pick.
It's funny that you say that you played the second one, because I did the exact same thing. I played the second game before the first, and I was like,
right.
All right, I literally played like 30 minutes of it. I'm like, all right, this is awesome, but now I need to stop and go back and play the first one before I move any further, because I'm like, I want to experience this. I had tried the first one a long time before, and I couldn't get past like the gameplay aspect of it, and I was like, finally, like, I have to experience this story. So I went back and powered through it despite my issues with the combat in the first game. And yeah, and then obviously went on to 2. But the self-restraint to fucking see 2 sitting there, and I'm like, no, I gotta go to this one first.
Wow.
Like,
you're in for a treat is the moral of the story, Christian. You're in for a fucking treat.
And it's not as long as you would think. Like, it's probably...
No,
like,
I've heard it's... Yeah.
Yeah.
40, it can, but also like, it can be, right? Depends on how invested
40
you
to
are.
50, right? Like somewhere in that range. Yeah, it's not. It's a meaty game,
right?
I definitely would not recommend mainlining it. Like, I think a lot of what's special about that game is the side missions and getting to know your crew. Which extends the game time. Yeah. All right, is it my number 5 already?
Yeah.
This game was released in 2024. Do we want to take a guess?
Oh, yeah, Balatro.
It is absolutely Balatro.
Wow.
And let me tell you how I arrived at this, because I was looking at my list. I opened my backlog, and I clicked my highest rated games. And I was like, we'll start here, and we'll kind of use this as a frame of reference. And I was just looking at the list, right? And I looked at Risk of Rain 2, and I'm like, man, when it comes to roguelites, tell me, like, that game just understands it. And then I look over, and slightly higher rated is Hades, and I'm like, man, when it comes to roguelites, like, it just does everything Risk of Rain does too, but just a little bit better. It's just a little bit tighter. It just understands the genre a little bit more. And I look over to the left a little bit more, and I see Balatro, and I go, man, it does what Hades does, but I think it just understands the genre just a little bit more. This game is kind of... it's insane, and I am worried about recency bias a little bit. I don't think it's that much, though. I think this game really is something special. I think not only the fact is it that it's actually a solo developer that made it, but that it was a passion project done like over the span of like 4 or 5 years that he was just doing in the side as a hobby. and
To
the
learn how
game
games,
comes
like to
out.
learn how coding, to learn how
Right.
games work. Yeah.
To have some like if I were to make my first game right now on like dick around with Unreal Engine for a couple years and release it, I can promise you it's not going to be anything like it's a remarkable achievement. And when it comes to roguelite, the genre, like I said, some of these picks that I have on my list is just about maybe the genre and propelling the genre forward. I don't know that there's many games that you can argue that understand its home genre like Balatro does in terms of having this incredible replay value and these synergies and this allowing you to break the game in certain ways if you want to. I mean, literally, you can break and crash your game, and that's the thing that people coveted, getting that name in kind of score that
And
everybody's chasing.
yeah.
Um, and to see it blow up in pop culture, and like I'm seeing celebrities that I follow post stories on Instagram of them getting high scores on Balatro, and it's just it's incredible. The main thing for me that I think this is an all-timer is that it takes a lot for a game to make me want to 100% complete it. There's not many games that I do. I've never gotten all the achievements for Halo 2. I've never gotten all the achievements for Halo 3, even though I've played those games. I've played the campaigns of those games 100 times just because I love those games. But this game, I can't stop. I can't stop playing it. And I've got all of my decks gold staked except for one. I accidentally saved the worst deck for last, and that's kind of driving me insane right now. But this game, yeah, it understands roguelites like no other game, I think, and it is its art style, its charm, its humor, it's the all the different Joker cards, the names of them. If you're somebody like me who's like, yeah, I'm gonna Google this and see why he named it this, and then you kind of go down this rabbit hole. Like, it's just so well thought out. Every fucking aspect of this game is so well thought out, and and in my opinion, you can feel it as soon as you boot it up.
One of my favorite anecdotes about Balatro, as apparently it's called, I won't call it that, is that when Local Thunk was first making it, he was designing it with 120 Jokers. He had 120, hadn't finished the game yet, and then the publisher, someone in a meeting, said 150 Jokers by mistake, and rather than correcting them, just decided, well, I guess I got to make 30 more Jokers. So they just made 30 more. That's awesome.
Which is insane because when you play the game, it doesn't feel like there's any filler Jokers. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like everything has a purpose. So this guy just has such a creative and inspired mind, and this isn't even his like job. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, right? It's lightning in a bottle. It's having somebody who had the time, the spare time, and the genius and to do this, and then we end up getting it as a finished product. Like, it's kind of not to be over dramatic because it's just video games, but it's like a small miracle that this game came out and that it is what it is. And so I can't help separate that from the objectivity, which I think also there's an objective argument that it's an extremely well made game. So when you combine those two things, the Venn diagram closes in and you go, I mean, it's Balatro, man. It's Balatro.
By the way, all three games you said all S tier. IMO. Varying degrees of S tier.
Balatro was our game of the year last year too.
It was PXN's game of the year. That's a great point.
Were you glad we waited a couple of weeks to do that? Because I think in December you hadn't even played the game yet, but like in January,
are you talking to me? I still hadn't played it when we did the Game of the Year episode, if you remember. I didn't even play it then.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you guys voted it, it was because of your guys' votes that we got the Game of the Year for it.
Oops.
But then I played it weeks later, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely the Game of the Year last year. I agreed with
That's
you guys.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you know what? And I just got to bring this up too. I think I've also mentioned this before, but when you were first describing, I played this game called Balatro, and you were telling us, you collect Jokers. In my head, it was like Homer Simpson banging the drums. I don't care about this stupid card game. Talking about Jokers, I don't give a fuck. This sounds boring as shit. And then for whatever reason, all right, I'll give it a shot. Oh no, you bought it for me on Steam.
I did.
Yeah. You did, and so I was like, okay, he spent money on me. I'm gonna play this game. And thank God you did, dude.
Yeah. I know what kind of autistic games you like. This is one of the, like, peak.
This is peak.
Yeah. My list game is from 2023, May 12th, 2023. There's an argument to be made. The first game should be on the list. I'm going to subjectively disagree. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I think, deserves its fifth and final spot on my list for primarily one reason. We're in a time where the world is really shitty. Things are really bad ecologically, climate-wise as well, politically. All these things are true. And Tears of the Kingdom takes what should be just an asset flip of Breath of the Wild, and instead, in my opinion, through much of its narrative and its side content, delivers a game that is about restoration and reconnection in ways that I found sweetly profound. That game, I mean, on top of just being a really good Zelda story and a return to form of Zelda stories, but also marrying the Breath of the Wild open world concept in some ways that I think works a lot better. This is one of like the most perfect games of recent the last couple of years. And I love it, and I still once a month watch the intro to that game, shed a little tear. It's really good stuff. Makes me wish I had a Switch too, just to replay it. To be honest, seeing that game run smoothly looks incredible. It's a really good game.
I was about to give you the side eye, but that's actually a really great perspective that I hadn't thought of for Tears of the Kingdom. Because when I was thinking about it, I was thinking this is like a Fallout 3 New Vegas thing where I'm like Breath of the Wild invented it, but that's a really great perspective. I like that.
Rose's final pick, I think you'll all be happy with. 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh,
huge. I mean, everything I said about it in my honorable mention is also a reason why you could put it in the top 5. I think it is the absolute combination of the technical side of video games and the art side of video games. And man, what a story!
What a story!
Yes,
I've lived a bad life, sister.
Arthur Morgan, the best protagonist for PXN.
Well deserved, man.
Deserved.
Hell yeah. I just thought of one more to add to the evil list real quick. GTA 5. That's a crazy one to throw in there. The campaign's amazing, but the GTA Online
online?
Yeah.
GTA Online. I would probably agree with you. I mean, that game's been on 3 console generations, right? It has to be on the evil list.
Right.
That's true.
Well, when it comes to monetization alone, right? That game is so predatory. It's insane. I'm really worried. I'm really worried about GTA 6. Well, I mean, at the very least, because it's gonna suck for people that only play a few games, and there's probably a lot of people out there, casual gamers that boot up GTA Online, and that's the only thing they play with their friends, right? For those people, it's really gonna suck. For us who dip into GTA 6 Online early and maybe only play 6 or 7 months of it and then get out before it gets bad, I'm sure we'll have a great time. But I am really worried about the future of GTA 6, right? They can either take all the good lessons they've learned and push and evolve the game that way, or it's gonna devolve into some fucking bullshit. Work a second job. We've got 5M people working at Rockstar now, so get ready to go to the golf club and pick up golf balls if you want to buy the new Lamborghini that comes out.
Charles has said some concerning stuff about his approach to GTA 6, because he's the kind of person that when he buys a game, he goes all in,
right,
and spends countless hours devoting himself to second lifing it. Yeah, GTA 6 is gonna take over his life.
Dude, I had a former coworker that would spend money on GTA car parts over his son getting a birthday gift. I'm dead serious. Dead serious. Dude. Yeah.
That is insane.
Former coworker. Yeah. He was a piece
Sorry,
of
Timmy,
shit.
Daddy needs his shark cards.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a piece of shit. Oh, and he couldn't afford the $20 copay to take his kid to the doctor because of that as well.
That's addiction levels, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but the new yachts just came out. Did you see the new customization options for the new yachts?
Yeah. It's insane.
Wild.
All right, I want to be respectful of your guys' time. I know you, KG, said you're good, but we already have gone very long. So how do you guys want to do the rest of the show?
I don't think I have time for the news, but I would like to get your guys' thoughts on any like recent games you guys have been playing. Just because I haven't been around much, I would like to hear what's up with your guys' personal lives, gaming wise.
Yes. Let me just quickly mention Death Stranding 2 did come out, and Christian, you have that on your Fantasy Critic, I think, right?
Yes, I think I do.
And it's a 90 Open Critic right now, so 20 points for you. Huge.
Wow.
What you got for me? I won't go over Doom the Dark Ages again. I've already done that a couple weeks in a row. I'm still working on it. I'm gonna have it finished. Fuck you, Harley. I'm gonna have it finished. Fuck you, Harley. I've also been playing Rematch with the lads and having a lot of fun. We played the beta a while back, and I had some issues, but I feel like a lot of those issues have been quelmed, I think, now that I've gotten a better understanding of the game, as well as they fixed some things as well.
You mean like issues mechanics wise, or like, game side wise, where like there's like bugs or
mainly bugs,
stability?
Yeah, mainly
I see.
bugs.
Okay.
Although there is still some in there, like we experienced some networking issues. I think a lot of those issues from the beta are largely qualmed. So yeah, Rematch, a lot of fun with that. I also played Terratech Legion demo. Thank you to Gage for this recommendation, because this game is fucking awesome. This demo is sick. This is it's like a roguelite where you build your own vehicle on top of the base. It's like they give you a base vehicle and then you build your vehicle on top of that. And this game is so much fun. This is so fucking addictive. I think we played like super late that night, like 4 a.m. or something, and we were both playing in our own session. And I was like, holy fuck, how is it already 4 a.m.? Like, we've been playing this for fucking 3 hours or however long it had been. I was like, oh, it's so much fun. Like, building, like, trying out all the different types. Like, I tried to build out as much as I could, and I put a whole bunch of weapons on the front of the vehicle to, like, see if that would help quell the massive hordes of people in front of me. That kind of got me overwhelmed from behind. So then I was like trying to rethink it, and I was like, what if instead of going out, I go up? And I just fucking built this monstrosity going up, and it actually worked brilliant.
It's a skyscraper on wheels that just had weapons in every floor.
Yes, and it worked brilliantly because all of the weapons have enough range to hit everywhere 360 around me that nothing was fucking touching me. Like, Gage watched me as I was streaming on Discord, and it was fucking awesome. I love it. A lot of fun. And then we played another game, which I'll wait until you guys chime in on that.
Oh, it's me next.
Yeah.
Playing more Night Rain. That's been my game of the month all month, mostly because of work, but also I enjoy the game. But I'm like, I finally settled into like, I think objectively that game is a bad roguelite, saved by it being just a very solid From Software game. Which makes it like for a really interesting game, but they're doing enough stuff. The bosses in that game are like mini raid mechanic bosses where you have to have coordination with your team, and that I think is the real big saving grace where it gets really interesting. And they just started adding like hard mode variations of those bosses that change the boss like movesets and stuff. And like, okay, I'm getting this, and now I have to really like focus in on my build. But again, I still have issues with the core gameplay loop. I also had to play a bunch of Liza P Overture DLC for work. That DLC somehow harder than the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. So much so that the developers had to apologize and say, we overtuned and we are going to fix this, and then put out an update to reduce how overhauled those enemies were. It was nuts how hard it was. It's still fun though. Got my hands on Death Stranding 2, but I'm still too early to have any sustained thoughts. Quick note on Rematch. I'm the opposite, Dan, where I had been looking forward to this game for so long, love the betas, got my hand on a code with for the early access on PC, and was stunned at how like I was like, they fixed everything. So much so that it made gameplay harder, and I had to lock in. Like suddenly, like positioning really matters because of how smooth the ball was. And then I was telling Gage about this. And then they announced that crossplay would not be available at launch, which sucked for me initially because I got the Steam code and I had invested so many hours that I had my character leveled up a bunch and I had a bunch of my stats and my rewards unlocked, and I didn't want to just switch platforms because you know what I mean. And then they put out an update just before on launch day or pre-launch night, and immediately the game went back to it being just as buggy as it was in the last betas, sometimes worse. And I was just having a lot of issues with no one being able to touch the ball for a while, or you catch the ball as the goalkeeper and then a second later it's in the back of the net. Disconnection issues where my team drops and now it's 1v4 and I get no new team members, so it's just an automatic loss, or I can't I can't shoot because they all fall back. A lot of things like this that made me really disappointed in how the game came out on launch and in the days after, where I was kind of bummed because I wanted these things to be smoothed out by launch, and they slow clap apologized for it, and for sure they're a small team, take as much time as you need. But I was still bummed. And then I was talking to Gage about this, and after we played Peak, he's like, let's just switch, let's just play rematch. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just forget my ego about all my time spent on my Steam profile, and I'll just play for fun. Unfortunately, we had a really bad first match where we had issues immediately, where Gage couldn't interact with the ball.
You had that the other night too. That's weird.
Yeah. And it was me again the other night too.
Huh.
And I was like, see, this is the thing, man. And then he kept getting disconnected after a couple games too. But man, when it was working and finally I was playing with friends again, because I've been playing solo on Steam, I was like, when it's working, this is still some of the most fun I've had all year, and may just end up being contender for Game of the Year. Because when it works, man, you really fly. And then we ended up playing almost 5 hours that night.
That's crazy, because I know Gage has had issues because we've been playing together, but I haven't experienced any of that, which is weird. I wonder if were you playing on Xbox, Gage, again?
We were playing the Xbox version of it, yes.
But you were on PC.
I'm playing on PC.
Okay,
Xbox
I just
app.
made sure. Okay.
Now I think some of your issues, Christian, because this does happen with ports, right? Is that sometimes PC platform has a lot more issues than the console does, right? And so even just you bringing up, say, losing team members and not being able to fill, I feel like this. I don't know the stat breakdown. I don't know if it's more popular on console, but I noticed that when I was playing with Glenn and Dan on the Xbox version, even though I'm playing on PC, I'm using the Xbox app. We did not have that. When people leave a game, at least in my experience, immediately it gets filled back with another character, with another player. Sorry. So some of those issues I think might be particular to the PC version of it as opposed to the console version.
It's on Game Pass, so I'm sure it's skewed a bit that way,
right?
Toward that way.
You might have more people playing it on the Xbox version.
But again, I will say though, when this game was built for PC first, and in the first couple of days before that, the subsequent updates, it was the smoothest it's ever been.
Damn.
At least performance wise, I can't talk about server side. I know they've had issues.
I'll just jump in and I'll do rematch first because I've also been playing it. Unfortunately, not with the both of you. We need to get that resolved ASAP. But yeah, I played. I think my character's almost level 30. I think I've got maybe close to 30 hours in the game. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm not a big sports game guy, and Glenn's made his little chirps that he's surprised I like this game. But it's just, and I was saying this to you, Christian. I'm pretty sure I've probably said the same thing to Dan separately, but it is a sports game, but it doesn't feel like it mechanically sometimes. It feels like you're playing a competitive third-person shooter almost, with how you're positioning, you're lining up, and you're communicating with your team. And Dan and I have played more than a few sessions this last week, I should say. And man, just like we get into a roll, and like it feels like we're winning. It's not like, you know, you play Call of Duty or you play Halo, and it's like you win one match, you lose one match, you win one match, you lose one match, and you start getting frustrated. It's like when it was me, you, and Glenn, and we had a full stack on 3v3s, we were just crushing and consistently making plays, and like it feels so good when things come together. This game is so enjoyable, and I don't know. It's gonna be tough for me to put this down. I think you're right, Christian. This for me might be a game of the year contender as well. Not in terms of maybe the quality of, you know, the server sucks and all this stuff, but like if we're rating a game based on how much fun you have when you're playing it, like it's tough to beat this. So yeah, shout out to Rematch, man.
We were just talking last night, like, how is it going to rank at the end of the year? And then one of us assisted the other person to get a goal, and it was like silent for a couple of seconds, and then Gage goes, like, what other game gives you this feeling, man? And I was like, yeah, you're right, yeah. Like, this is game of the year material, absolutely.
Like there's very few games, like I think of like other competitive shooters, which again is what this feels like mechanically. So in my mind, that's what I'm comparing it against. But it's like in Overwatch, right, you always want to be the guy to get the last kill. In Counter-Strike, you want to be the guy, you want to be the top fragger. In this game, when you juke somebody out and I do a slick little pass to Dan and Dan gets the goal, it feels amazing for me because we made that play happen. You know what I mean? There's very few games that reward you for being a team player just as much as being like the top guy.
I think I said last night, it reminds me of playing like Call of Duty Search and Destroy. You know what I mean?
Right.
In a weird way.
Right. In terms of the coordination and the comms and
there you go.
Yep.
Also, we only lost like 3 games last night, and that was with randoms. We were flying.
Yep. We were flying high. We were making things happen. What else have I been playing? Let's see. TerraTech Legion. Dan, you hit it out of the park. Pretty much, it's like, what if we combine Vampire Survivors and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts and threw them together? And what do you get? You get an autism game through and through that is just so hard to put down. It's so good. Christian, you need to try it. You need to try the demo.
You texted me, and I looked it up that day, and I was like, "Ew."
I know you're gonna think that, but you need to try it. It is mechanically so fun. If you build, because it's not just using the building as like a gimmick. It's like, I noticed this pretty quickly that like if you put too many things on one side of your vehicle, it starts affecting the handling, and your vehicle's kind of lobbing to one side, and you're trying to drive through these crowds.
And it's not enemies. It's not easy either.
It is not easy at all, and you start getting these synergies going with these different parts, and then. What the game does really well that you discovered before I did, actually, I didn't realize that you could do this, but every time you get an upgrade level, you can actually redesign the whole vehicle from scratch if you wanted to. You can take the time to take everything off of it and completely redesign your vehicle. Like Dan said, you could build tall, you can build wide. I went to the Steam page for the full game to wishlist it after I played the demo. And if you scroll down on the Steam page, they've got even designs that you and I weren't even thinking of how they built out some of their, if you look through the little GIFs that they have playing. So I'm very excited for the full release of this game. This is such a pleasant little surprise. This is a perfect little indie game. I love this. I love this vibe. I'm here for it. TerraTech Legion, highly recommend. There's a demo that's free to download. I highly recommend anyone try it. It's very, very fun. And then I've got a couple of other small games that I've tried. This is just leftovers from Steam Next Fest. Yeah, you see the crane thing with the wheels coming down and like all that. Yeah. There's this little survival game called Vane, which looks like shovelware at first, but and maybe it is. It's very, very fun. It's very much like a 3D first-person Project Zomboid, which people may or may not have heard about. It's a very granular survival where it's like you've got houses have electricity and you can rewire things to power them and turn off the power grid and all that stuff. Very, very granular, but very, very fun. So that's fun. And then I also tried this isometric helicopter game called Cleared Hot, which kind of had like some Miami, Hotline Miami vibes to it. Very fun. Not a lot to it, but also a fun little indie game I tried as well.
And then we played Peak together.
And the 3 of us played Peak. And how do we feel about Peak?
It was Peak.
it was pretty peak.
I would love to play this game after like a couple of brews, when we can get a little rowdy. I think I know the friend slop is the genre people are calling these kinds of games. And tell you what, I'll be there no matter what, because I think even if it's like a one and done kind of game, I usually will have a good time. Also, it's like $4, $5. I had a lot of fun. I'm interested to see how the next island changes it, because they had like a little timer that's like the island changes. And I think now that we understand it a bit better, we can kind of get a bit wacky with it. Hilarious clips, I think, some of the ones that I've saved.
It's funny that people are using the term friend slop. I feel like that's a great name for this, for like the kind of like, Lethal Company, content warning, repo, all that stuff. But like the thing, and I brought this up when we were playing it, where it's like, I made a joke, but it's like, somebody played only up and was like, what if we made this into an actual game with actual mechanics? Like, this is definitely, I could see it being in the friend slop genre, but like it has enough there mechanically where the first climb, the mental space that I was in is I'm just gonna goof around with the boys. But then when we got to the lava level, my mindset had completely changed, where I was like judging distances and like I was locked in. Right? So this is okay, except I got a little goofy in the end and was trying to be a silly guy and maybe lost us the entire match. But
That was funny.
listen, my shoulders were sore from carrying the entire team for that entire level.
How funny was it though when we all tried crossing and the lava rose and we all died and you watched us
And
die?
I turn
like,
around
man,
and I'm reaching my hand out and I see Dan like the end of Terminator 2 sticking his hand out from the lava screaming, and I'm trying to reach him without falling in. Oh my god. This is the moral of my story, is that this is friend slop, but it's the perfect blending of friend slop and actual mechanics, where you can kind of get invested and like really like try and reach for that, and like, oh, I'm running out of stamina, and then somebody comes by and grabs me and pulls me up, and you have these moments where you're like, wow, okay, cool, we're
How do
back
you
in
say
it.
that?
I heard him too. I heard it too.
Oh my god, stamina.
For the first time, Dan, what is this? And poof, that thing explodes and he gets thrown off the mountain.
Yeah.
Just launched. Or when we're climbing and we hear Dan screaming from the bottom of like the base of the
Help,
mountain,
you're
and
killing
it's
me.
and it's reverbing and it's echoing.
Yeah.
I'm still down here.
I
I've got
remember.
ropes.
You're killing me.
Yeah.
All right. Long episode, guys. The listeners maybe will get that intro actually. So if you're confused about that intro, it's because I stitched them together. So there you go.
Right.
All right. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage. Row will return. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.